So, behind me is a true gem, one of the true gems of this beautiful Hudson Valley, a unique place, not just in New York, but in all of America. And that is Kingston's historic waterfront. Throughout the Rondout flows the history of New York and stories of our past. But when you look at this waterfront, you also see New York's future, not just our past. The business district is booming. Beautiful attractions, tourism, people are moving up here and seeing how beautiful it is. We have everything coming here, and downtown has come a long way in the last few decades, and it can go a lot further. The city's been hard at work, and so is the county, and so have I in Washington, working to deliver federal dollars to boost the tremendous work helping Kingston grow. In the American Rescue Plan, we finally got, remember, our friends on the other side of the aisle, unfortunately, and President Trump did not want any money to go to states or local governments. But when I became majority leader, I said, we're not doing a bill unless we do state and local governments, and we passed the American Rescue Plan. Frankly, Albany, or our government, they wanted all the money to go to the state and have people like Ryan and Noble come begging for funds. I said, as we say in Brooklyn, NFW. I said we're going to give the state the money they need, which we did, over $23 billion. They have a surplus. But we're also going to give direct money to our cities and counties. And we delivered over $17 million for the city of Kingston. How much did the county pay? $34.5 million for the county of Ulster. And so there was some money there to help do things in a flexible way. But now I'm doubling down on my efforts to usher in a renaissance for downtown Kingston. We have a two-prong plan. Part one is already here. It's a down payment. Let me explain that. For years, the bulkhead section of the waterfront needed structural upgrades to protect crucial elements of the business district, historic sites like right behind us, the Hudson River Maritime Museum and the Cornell building. Everyone's worried about flooding because this river floods and with global warming and more 50-year storms coming so frequently, that worry has only increased. So that put the work the city has done in building up the downtown section at risk. So in this year's omnibus, we got something back that used to be called earmarks. Now earmarks are good, except they ran off track. An earmark allows a U.S. senator or your Congress member, Antonio Delgado, who does a great job for this area and couldn't be here to designate specific funding. I dare say I know better what Kingston needs than some bureaucrat in Washington who probably comes from Nebraska or something like that. And so, but the earmarks were abused and they were secret and some people took advantage. So we reformed the whole process. It's now public. Anyone who requests an earmark has to have his or her name attached to it. CDP, Congressionally Directed Program. We got $100,000 to start to have the Army Corps of Engineers analyze the existing conditions here in the bulkhead and make a plan for shoreline stabilization. That's the first step on the protection of Rondout Creek. And the Army Corps has already declared a federal interest determination due to the close proximity of the wastewater treatment plant to the bulkhead and the shoreline. So this is a big deal because it can mean big work coming to Kingston very soon, not just $100,000. That's just a quick start for the Army Corps to deal with the water. But the second part is even better, and the city calls that weaving the water, WW. I call it letting the people flow back into downtown. This is over a $20 million project put forward by the mayor and the city, and it'll finally reconnect Kingston's beautiful neighborhoods to the downtown and waterfront through walking paths, nature trails, and finally complete the Kingston Green Line, which is so beautiful. Right. The pandemic has shown us the tremendous need for making our cities more walkable and accessible, and does just that. The pandemic has shown us the tremendous need for making our cities more walkable, more accessible, and that's what the WW Weaving the Waterfront project does, because the plan would raise the roadways surrounding the waterfront when they build the new walking and biking paths, which will strengthen the downtown's flood protections, which is very important, because businesses want to come here now. It's a desired place, but they want to make sure if they invest in a business, they're not going to be flooded out several years after that. On top of that, it'll add new green infrastructure not just more open outdoor space, but charging stations for EVs, electric vehicles, to make Kingston ever cleaner than ever before. So now we have this is a Kingston transportation revolution. So this gets to the heart of the work we've been doing in Washington. Of course, the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which I worked hard to pass, is going to create some of the largest investments in transportation we have ever seen in America. So there's going to be a lot of transit money. Mr. Mayor, Mr. County Executive, Mr. Legislators, Mr. Alderman, for you all to apply for. And when I was negotiating the bill, I actually had cities like Kingston to make sure that we got big boosts in programs that would benefit a place like Kingston and benefit a place like our waterfront. So we got $8 million for UCAT, the bus system in Ulster County. That's in addition to $5 million we got in the CARES Act and $1.3 in the ARP. So you put that all together, that's about $15 million. And New York will get $289 million in transportation alternatives to build walking and biking facilities. So you can apply for that, and $175 million for New York alone to get electric charging vehicle structures. So that's a lot of money. And one of the programs, though, is called RAISE. It used to be called the Tiger Grant. That's $7.5 billion. There's a huge amount, more than we've ever had. And so when Kingston applies for its $20 million grant through the RAISE program, I promise you this: I will use my clout as New York State's majority, as the Senate Majority Leader, the first ever from New York State, to get you that.